One. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Runnin the Pain podcast. I'm Miles here with Ben and Nick. Guys, how are you doing today?
Feeling good, feeling great. We got one of our co hosts back in Athens, Ohio at Ohio University today. Ben, how are you feeling?
Feeling good. Second year in college already. Can't believe I'm getting this old, but here I am, and I'm excited for hopefully another good school year at college, and looking forward to continuing to grow with my media stuff and more as a person this year.
That's right. Definitely an exciting year coming up. Unfortunately, we got a special Sunday edition of the podcast, but unfortunately, the trend continues with us trading Joey for Nick every single podcast. So maybe finally on the Centers podcast, we'll finally have all of us on, and then hopefully going forward. But a lot of fun things to talk about today. We have our top 10 power forwards lists to go over, which might be the most stacked position in the league looking at it. There were some tough omissions, I think, for all of us on our list. And we actually had a major, you could call a blockbuster transaction over the last few days, which you never really usually see in mid-August, but it's gonna be a lot of fun. But to get things started, we're gonna go to Poeltl once again. We've been doing pretty well recently. We're going to try to continue the trend of going with a player that fits our position that we're talking about today, that changed teams to see if Poeltl is updated. So we're going to go with Julius Randle, who's now on the Brooklyn Nets, but Poeltl still says he's on the Minnesota Timberwolves. So a Western Conference guard that's
Come on,
younger
Poeltl.
and wears a shorter jersey number. Yeah,
Get
lower
with the
jersey
program.
number. I know. I don't know when they're going to actually update, but this is going to, if we somehow get this into, I don't know, this could really be anyone. A young guard in the Eastern
Yeah,
Conference, or not in the Western Conference. It's not in the Northwest.
either in the Pacific or Southwest Division, Lakers, Kings, Clippers, Warriors, Suns, Spurs, Rockets, Mavericks, those
Yeah,
teams.
it really could be anyone. I think first, let's just quickly, because there's so many guys it could be, let's just try to narrow down division. Young guard. Let's go. We could go with Stephon Castle.
Yeah, it works.
We'll
Let's
try
do it.
it. We'll see.
See if that can get us anywhere. Oh my goodness.
Oh, that's a good guess.
Number 4 or number 3 on the Spurs.
Oh, all right.
Keldon Johnson is number
Oh,
3.
yeah. Kevin Johnson.
It's gotta be Keldon, yeah.
I can't think of a number 4, so let's go with the sixth man of the
The,
year,
yeah,
Keldon
there we go.
Johnson.
6 man, all right.
There we go. Not pretty good Poeltl once again. Let us know how long it took you guys to get Keldon Johnson. But now, let's get into some NBA news before we get to our top 10 power forwards. And guys, we got a trade, a big trade, a 5-team trade, and finally involving our favorite team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavaliers acquire Peyton Watson, one of the best free agents that was still out there, signing him to a 4-year, $88 million deal to make this happen. In a sign-and trade, the Cavs also get Cam Whitmore, who most likely will get waived and stretched. The Nuggets get the Cavs' unprotected first-round pick in 2031, the Kings' 2032 second-round pick, Julian Reese, Angel Reese's brother, who they expect to waive. The Clippers get Max Strus for free pretty much. They just gave up a second-round pick to the Wizards, who got Trey Mann, and then the Hornets got Dennis Schroeder and cash considerations. That's this is a deal that kind of expanded off of that original Schroeder for Mann trade that we talked about last week, but a major deal. For us Cavs fans, it's kind of been a long off season because, they're just in the Eastern Conference Finals, and it feels like every other team had made moves in the East to get better, and the Cavs we just had to kind of be patient. And then they say that good things come to those who wait, and Cavs got, a pretty good deal here getting Peyton Watson in here. How do you feel about this signing?
Yeah, I feel good about it as a Cavs fan. I think Peyton Watson was a type of player that Cavs could use. Bigger kind of wing player who, could defend well. The thing was we lost Dean Wade, and I was like, man, I hope we could get someone good. We're gonna need or just someone to step up. But we got Peyton Watson, who I think, we're not gonna be relying on him really to exactly be one of our top scorers. I think hopefully can look pretty good on the defensive end and hopefully guard other teams' top scoring options, even with guards and I. But I think to be a good connecting piece on offense. I improved the shooting from what I know last year with Denver. I mean, he had that great scoring stretch last year in January, like December into January, where like Jokic was out. He had like 22, 23 points per game in that stretch, something like that. So, the kids are banking on, now with the contract they gave him 4 years, 88 million, that he's hopefully gonna, you know, pan out pretty well here, and they believe in him. I agree with the Cavs on this.
Yeah, Nick, what do you think about the Cavs doing this with Peyton Watson? Should have said also that right after this, they re-signed James Harden to a new 3-year, $97 million deal. He'd been waiting the whole summer for the Cavs to make a move like this. So, Nick, how do you feel now that the Cavs finally made their big move of the summer?
I do think it's a considerable upgrade from Strus at the starting 3 spot, and obviously it makes sense when you can upgrade one of the 5 starting positions in your lineup. I do think it's sort of a wait and see for 2 of the 5 teams involved, being the Cavs and the Nuggets. Like, depending on how those picks work out for the Nuggets, Watson, it's a pretty good piece. Solid starting level 3, like probably, if not the top half of the league, like definitely the top 20 starting 3s in the league, which is good enough to build a contender around if you have the right pieces and stuff like that. So obviously Denver is trying to compete with Jokic, and it's just going to be like a sort of wait and see thing if this draft pick thing pans out for them in the long run. But for the Clippers, obviously very good, and for Washington and the Hornets, I think they all got better immediately.
Yeah, it's a nice move for the Wizards, Hornets, and Clippers. They all basically get players that fit their team for free here. I mean, of course, the 2 teams, big teams with this are the Cavs and the Nuggets. And I think for the Cavs, there are some, questions with this. I'm a huge fan of this because I think that if this does go well, this could be the perfect finishing piece to this starting 5, because it feels like throughout this era, over the last 4 or 5 years of the Cavs being relevant, I mean, they've been looking for a small forward that could play defense like this and also stretch out and fit around other great players, and they finally gotten that. They've gone through Karis LeVert, Max Strus, DeAndre Hunter, Isaac Okoro, Dean Wade. Like, they've gone through a whole bunch of different players. This feels like their best chance of having that player work for them. But the big question is, Ben, you mentioned that excellent stretch in January where Watson went off in the 15 games where Jokic was out. The official numbers, he put up 22 points a game, 6 boards, 1.5 blocks. He shot 49% from the field, 44% from 3 on 5 attempts per game. Like, he played really good. But right as Jokic came back, essentially, he pulled his hamstring and was basically out for the rest of the season. So it's the wait and see thing for the Cavs is kind of like, who is the real Peyton Watson? Like, is he that player from January who brings you the terrific, strong defense because he's an incredible, long, athletic wing defender who's great at blocking shots? Or is he just a solid role player that's a little bit erratic from 3? And, I think that's going to be the big question, because if he is that player from January, or maybe not even, that sort of player, but if he is, if he does live up to this contract, then I think the Cavs did a very good job of keeping up with the rest of the Eastern Conference, and I think they still should be looked at as a team that can contend for a home court spot, at least in the Eastern Conference, and a chance to go for a deep playoff run.
Yeah, and like you said, you rattled off Okoro to Wade to Karis LeVert to DeAndre Hunter. I mean, I think Peyton Watson is going to get touches in this offense. Like, Kenny Atkinson runs an offense that moves the ball around. I mean, they have 2 primary scorers in James Harden and Donovan Mitchell, but they move the ball around a lot. Everybody on the Cavs sort of gets to eat. And obviously, like, Peyton Watson is a terrific defender, so that's really his calling card, is on that end. And I don't want to say everything on the other end is a bonus, but really you want Donovan, James, and I mean, I know we're not going to get into an Evan Mobley discussion right now, but you want those three getting the majority of the points and the touches and the shots taken. So I think Peyton Watson is going to be able to fill that role better than those other four guys that we mentioned. But it is sort of a wait and see, Miles, because of your point. Like, who is the real P-Watt?
Yeah, Ben. How are you feeling about the Cavs now after making this deal? And the offseason overall? Of course, I know Cavs fans, you can be upset because the Cavs weren't able to get, LeBron James. That would have been the perfect offseason. But in my opinion, Ben, for what the Cavs had available, this was a very good offseason. I think this is about as good as they could have done in this offseason, besides getting LeBron on the minimum.
Yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, not much better they could have done outside of getting LeBron with what they did. I believe you're right on that, Miles. And yeah, I'm happy about it. Like, no, LeBron would have been nice. Of course, it's LeBron. Hometown guy, but yeah, Peyton Watson to me makes up a little bit for the LeBron thing. I mean, he's at least still a younger player. He's pretty athletic. Going to be someone who hopefully, is out there playing hard. Definitely on the defense, we need him, there, filling the role defensively that Dean Wade previously had well, hopefully for us. And I think, the Cavs, we have, some younger guys this year. We're relying more on the bench, but I mean, there's potential there. And I mean, if guys can hit their potential, is something like, you know, uh, Tyson, could be playable in the rotation come playoffs, and Tomlin and Porter and Thomas and like Kazonia somehow carries over from Europe and does some impressive stuff in the NBA. Maybe it's a great bench the Cavs have, but right now I'd say it's good on the bench, but not great. But the Cavs are definitely a top heavy team, and their team, if everything can work out right, could be a team that could be contending to possibly be in the finals.
Yeah, Cavs will definitely be banking on some internal improvement this season, especially with that backcourt. I mean, now at this point, one of those guys is going to have to become like a playoff rotation player, that's going to have to play big minutes for this team. And that's exciting because, I think they all have, their own potential in different ways. And we'll see what other moves the Cavs end up making. Of course, there's not we're near the end of the offseason, so there's not going to be any more crazy moves made. But it does sound like they are going to waive Cam Whitmore to try to free up some more money. Been hearing some rumblings that maybe they bring in another former Denver Nugget, Bruce Brown, to fill in another backup guard spot. So we'll see if they have anything else going. Kevin Love might be someone at the end of the bench as a backup big as well. But overall, I think this was a very good deal for them. I know Joey, I wish I could. I'm excited to hear what Joey thinks about this deal because I know he and Uncle Joe, they're people that value future draft picks a lot. So I'm curious to hear their thoughts on the Cavs giving up their 2031 unprotected first. Nick, how do you feel about what the Cavs gave up in this trade, giving away Strus and that first round pick for Peyton Watson?
I mean, you're getting to that purgatory sort of discussion that we talk about with the Bulls. That's where my head goes. Do you know what I'm saying by that? Whereas, like, you're not good enough to break through, and you're kind of sacrificing your future during a time where it's not going to get there.
I mean, I don't think this is. I see where you're coming from, but this isn't anywhere close to the Bulls, considering the Bulls.
No, I know. I'm saying it's going in that direction. That would be the argument I think Joey would come with.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see what you mean. I honestly think he'd go more towards like the Suns and stuff, giving away their future draft pick stuff and stuff like that. Because this team at least has gone on, they've won playoff series and stuff like that. I mean, I'm of the opinion that like in this Eastern Conference, I mean, you have to go all in, with the way that all these other teams got better, and they had to do this sort of trade.
Yeah.
So I'm personally okay with giving away the first round pick because right now that doesn't matter right now. The window is right now, and the Cavs showed that by, now the extensions to both Harden and Mitchell. So this team, I mean, this is going to be what their team looks like over the next few years. Ben, how are you feeling about what the Cavs gave up in this trade, and also about the new James Harden contract for 3 years, $97 million?
Yeah, I'm fine with what the Cavs gave up. Strus was a fun role player here, and I always remember him on the Cavs for that on his first year here in the full court game when he shot him. Watching that live was just
Joey was at that
insane.
game. Yeah.
Joe, yeah, that's right. He was at that game. He was lucky to witness that in person. And then the first round pick, yeah, I agree with what Miles said. It's fine. I'm happy we're going all in. And sometimes, Strus was a good piece. Sometimes, Watson was available. I'm glad the Cavs believe in him. And hopefully he's a piece that can help get the Cavs over the top. And I mean, hopefully James Harden, I believe he can be pretty good in the regular season, and come playoffs is even better. Hopefully he can be another piece that helps getting over the top too. And then, yeah, the Harden contract. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting seeing that he's like the second one, 37 or older, after LeBron to get a 90 million plus deal. And yeah, I mean, it's a good amount for that type of guy. I mean, I would have been okay with a bit less. I would have preferred that, but it's all right because I think Harden, at least he's proven he can be durable. I would guess the Cavs would have been more hesitant to do that if he had some injury stuff, but he's proven even at an older age he could play and still play at a high level. And I think he hopefully still has a few years left in him where he can play at a high level, have a good amount of points per game, hopefully have big scoring options. Hope he can somehow be a guy that somehow definitely come playoffs. Hopefully lifts us, but we'll see.
Yeah, I would definitely agree. I mean, to those that are a little skeptical on the Harden contract, definitely understandable because this is going to take him through his 20th season in the league. Like, it is a lot of money for that age of player. But I was going into the summer thinking that it was going to be like 30 plus per year, with 30 million, at least the first year, and just going up a lot from that. He took his time to allow the Cavs to pursue this move, and when you look at the way I like to look at it when you give out contracts is how does that compare to some of your peers, and the players that are making similar contract amounts. And guys that are on that contract right now are guys like Emmanuel Quickly, Jalen Suggs, Derek White, even Jared Allen, Trey Murphy, Devin Vassell. And Harden's better than all those players. So, and of course, he's going to decline as he goes down forward. But I think it's a good deal. Gonna miss Strus, like you said. He's one of my favorite Cavs role players of all time. But overall, excited to see how this turns out for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Nick, you have anything else on the Cavs side of this?
Thank you, Max.
Yeah, thank you, Max. He's about to become the tannest beach boy in the league now going to LA. I'll tell you. With that hair, he's gonna have fun in LA back with Darius Garland, which is gonna be fun. But we got to talk about the Denver side of this as well. They did make the transaction soon after the spring signing DeMar DeRozan following his buyout with the Sacramento Kings. But I gotta be honest, this is one of the worst off seasons that I've seen in the league this year and in a while for Denver in the spot that they're in right now. I mean, they were, just because of how expensive they're in, they're coming off of an embarrassing first round exit to Minnesota, who was missing all their guards in the back half of the series. And they're just losing players, and now their depth is just not really there. I mean, we can have the conversation about, do we think DeRozan should start or come off the bench, but this team is 6 deep right now, and the 2031 Cavs first round pick. I mean, I think that it's fine that they get that because it could be valuable in the future, because that'll be when Harden and Mitchell are most likely done with the Cavs. But still, like, that's their only valuable asset now. That's their only tradable draft pick that they have, and they're gonna need to use that to try to bring in another player, because if they're not able to, I'm not liking the situation that they're in whatsoever.
Well, they need Christian Brown to revive himself to the contract that he was given last summer, I think.
Yeah.
Because he signed a big one last summer and then had a dud of a year. I mean, they still got Julian Strawther, who's a younger player that could have some upside. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Miles. Like they're starting five. I mean, they can with Murray and Jokic. Like, it's hard to say that they can't run with anybody in the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in terms of depth, you're definitely right. Like I would say they're six deep right now. I agree with you because like DeMar coming off the bench, it's a great sixth man. But there's a lot hinging, I think, on Jokic and Murray not only playing and being on the court, but playing like at a very high, very, very high level and like pulling this team along. We've talked about it the last few years. Like, can Jokic like pull this team along? Like how much of a burden it is on him by the time they get to the playoffs, and we saw how it ended last year. Um, yeah, I agree with you, Miles. They should definitely think about like what moves are available to them because the roster right now is not.
Oh, might have lost Nick for a second. There we go. Now you're back.
Not good enough to have a top three player in the
Oh,
league.
now he lost his voice. Oh, all right. No, I totally agree, Nick. I mean, Ben, what are your thoughts on the Denver Nuggets situation at this point? After losing Peyton Watson and just kind of steadily losing these bench pieces over these last few years.
Yeah, it's just can't believe just how after the championship things have gone, just downhill like this with Denver. It's like, yeah, it's been brutal this year. I thought maybe they were gonna be more aggressive looking to trade someone they had on the roster like a Cam Johnson. I mean, I would have rather kept Peyton Watson than Cam Johnson, but I mean, yeah, they had that Spencer Jones thing. It's crazy. The Thunder,
Yeah.
match that the Denver end up, well, Denver matched what OKC gave them and put them into the second April, which was tough, and then they just had to move on from Watson, which was tough. But that 2031 first could be good, but it's like future pick, and you got Jokic there. You want to win now, and I wonder how happy Jokic could exactly be getting now. He's free agent there next year, and once again, it's just going to be a real burden on him and Murray to like carry the team because they're top heavy. Their depth isn't good at all to me.
No, it really isn't. And they are in a tough spot. I mean, this offseason, I agree, Ben. I mean, I think they definitely tried to look for a trade, but Christian Brown on a 5-year, $125 million contract. No one wants that contract. Cam Johnson, I think, is a valuable piece. Like it wasn't as seamless of a fit there last year as I think we all thought, but he still shot 43% from three, and I think the Nuggets still value him too much to just trade him for nothing. Like he still is a good player that fits their starting lineup. So because of that, their options just weren't there. I mean, they lose Tim Hardaway, they waive Jonas Valanciunas, they're letting Bruce Brown walk, which are the three players, by the way, that they brought in last year that had us all saying that, man, this is the best team that Denver has put around Jokic. And now they're just in this situation where like it's just a tough spot for them. Like what Nick was saying earlier, like Murray and Jokic and they're starting five because Gordon is still a very good player. Brown could have a bounce back, and I like Cam Johnson and DeMar DeRozan being there. I think he should come off the bench because I think he still has a lot in his game. And I mean, he's the most valuable with the ball in his hands, and he'll be able to do that a lot more coming off the bench, which Denver can use when Jokic isn't on the floor. So I like that a lot. But overall, when looking at it, as Nick rejoins us here, it's just a tough spot for the Denver Nuggets to be in because right now I think I think the way that I'm looking at them, and you guys will probably agree, because they have Jokic, they'll be a good regular season team. Like they could still be a top 4 team in the Western Conference, but we're not going to have this team in the top tier to win the title. Maybe not even in the second tier to win the title. And that's just where they're at right now. And there is not a way for them to get better besides using that 2031 Cavs first round pick. And the way things are going right now, they may have to use that to get off of like the Zeke Najee contract or the Christian Brown contract. Like it, I just don't like their position. And I think Jokic being a free agent soon, Ben, like you said, is something to watch for, because although he has said that, you know, he would want to be in Denver his entire career, I mean, what are the Nuggets doing right now that is enticing him to stay there? I wouldn't stay there in a couple of years if I was Jokic, if this continues to go in this direction.
Miles going in on the Nuggets like he did the Bucks last year.
I am. I don't think they'll be
Do
the
you guys
12th
think?
seed. I don't think they'll be the 12th seed, but
Yeah, it's true. Good call. Do you think there's a possibility of Jokic retiring early, like just being not interested in what the league has to offer him?
well, that's very interesting.
I mean, you can't not have thought about it.
Well, he loves horse racing over in some country. I guess not after next season, but who knows? Started to get more older. We'll have to see how you're feeling, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a reasonable thing to think about, but I think that the point of him not being like super like into the game is a little overblown sometimes. Like I mean, he's a hard worker, he's dedicated to his craft, he stays in terrific shape, he's durable. Like last year was the first time where he suffered major injury, and he was just second in MVP and averaged a triple double. Like, you know, he's still an incredible player, and I think from a financial aspect, it wouldn't make sense for him to retire early. Like I think maybe his next big contract might be his last. You know, if he signs a 5-year deal with Denver, or, you know, somehow went somewhere else a year or two from now. But I think that's something that, I mean, that Denver is going to have to be looking at here, because like I said, like I just don't know what positives are there for the Denver Nuggets right now for Jokic. Like this feels like this is going in a like you were joking about me going in on the Bucks. Like this feels like this could go in the same direction as the Bucks with Giannis, you know, over these last couple of years. Ever since their championship, they're just kind of declining, and they're getting to a spot where there's not a way for them to get better unless they make a retooling sort of move, kind of like what the Celtics did this offseason, trading Jaylen Brown for Paul George and future picks. Like maybe they have to do that with Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray to bring in like a bunch of other okay, solid players and draft picks to rebuild their team. But besides that, I just don't like the direction of this team. And I think if we grade their offseason, this is an F off season. This has been horrible for the Denver Nuggets.
Well, I don't disagree. I do not disagree.
Ben, you have anything to add on the Denver Nuggets?
Yeah, just tough for them. Made my point already.
Yeah, I mean, you guys think? I gave my thought on the DeMar DeRozan thing. You guys think it would make more sense for him to come off the bench in Denver or start over someone in that starting lineup?
To me, I'd say right now, bench. I mean, could be a big bench scoring piece that maybe could help at least take some burden off of Murray and Jokic sometimes with that. But he's never really come off the bench before, so who knows? But yeah, it's fine signing after losing Watson, but I don't think he really elevate their team too much. But um, at least good for him for being on a contending team, I guess.
Yeah. Nick, what would you do if you were David Adelman with DeMar DeRozan? Would you bring him off the bench, kind of run that second unit, or would you throw him in there for Brown or Johnson potentially?
I think to start, bring him off the bench because you want Johnson and Brown to build some more continuity uh, after last year. Um, and if DeMar proves that he can build that continuity with the starting five and he's a better fit than Brown or Johnson, then that's when you make the move, but not to start the year.
Yeah, I would agree. It's I like the fit there. I like the fit there coming off the bench again because he can put up a whole bunch of points coming off the bench. But I don't know if he'll be able to close games with their team because they're already a team that doesn't really have a whole lot of 3-point volume across the board on their team, and not like DeMar DeRozan helps that. He's still a terrific mid-range scorer. Like he still put up 18 and a game last year, 50% from the field. Like he's still a very capable scorer. So excited to see what he does there. But overall, not the best summer for the Denver Nuggets. Another transaction before we get into our power forwards list. The Miami Heat signed Klay Thompson following a buyout with the Dallas Mavericks. This is something that was kind of in the works for the last couple months. Dallas just decided not to release him until, a couple days ago. But Ben, the Miami Heat continue their big offseason, bringing in, Giannis and now bringing in Klay Thompson along with Tim Hardaway Jr. They got Bobby Portis in that trade as well. So, Ben, how do you feel about this pickup for the Miami Heat bringing in Klay Thompson?
I like it for the Heat just because he's another shooter, another guy who could help space the floor there, or Giannis is driving, he could kick it out to him passively, and I like it for Clay. I mean, he's older, but I think he'll bounce back a bit there since Spo's a great coach. He used to be a great coach where he was phenomenal for a while with Steve Kerr, Golden State, and I I think it's a good spot for him. I'm excited to see how he does.
Yeah, Nick, how do you feel about the Heat's offseason now, bringing in a couple of shooters with Hardaway and now bringing in Klay Thompson?
Yeah, I like the Heat. I mean, I like their roster, honestly. Like I love their culture, the fact that they work hard, they play basketball like the right way. Spo gets paint touches and finds shooters and plays defense, and that's what wins basketball games. That's what every coach values. And I think Clay is going to be like one of the most confounding waiver wire fantasy players this year because I think there'll be games where he has 25 to 40 points and then a lot of duds in there as well. But I do see Giannis to Clay as a pretty uh, popular, familiar connection that's going to be happening a lot this year, probably.
Yeah, I'm just excited for Klay that he gets to go to this opportunity where, I mean, we'll see if, that's another kind of conversation. Like, do we think that the Heat will start him or Hardaway? I mean, they're both, like, at this point, kind of the exact same player. Hardaway's coming off a better season, but he also got to play with Jokic while Klay was on the tanking Mavericks. So, kind of tough to gauge there. But I just love it for Klay because now he's for sure going to be in a place where they are looking to compete. I just have felt really bad for Klay Thompson these last few seasons after the way things ended in Golden State. And then he chose Dallas instead of the Lakers to play with Luka. And then they trade Luka to the Lakers. And then he's just been stuck there these last couple years when they were just not a competitive team last year. And now I think he's going to be extremely rejuvenated to be in a place where he's wanted and he's got a legit chance to try to win again. I'm still a little hesitant to call them a legit title contending team because I think that their 1, 2, and 3 spots are still, they're just not as great as some of the others in the league. But obviously their front court is super incredible. Both of these guys we're going to talk about potentially in our top 10 power forwards list, so that'll be fun. But I do like their offseason now that they brought in Klay, and Hardaway. I think that they do have the potential to be a good team. I think they definitely should be a team that has the potential to rise up in the Eastern Conference, with this move. So excited to see what happens with the Heat. You guys have anything else on this?
They traded Clay Ware to the Bucks.
What,
Yeah.
Keloware to the Bucks? Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I guess that's another thing to add. 'Cause I was thinking about some of the guys that they moved on from. I really like the Klay and Hardaway thing now because Bam and Giannis have been really good throughout their careers in just the simple dribble handoff game with shooters throughout their career. And over the last couple of years, they've had to move on from, like, just this summer, Tyler Hero's in the trade along with Keloware, a big shooter, but they lose Norman Powell in free agency. Last couple of years, they've had to move on from Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, some of these shooters for them. And now maybe we'll get to see, Bam and Giannis be able to run some more of that stuff with Klay and Hardaway. So I'm excited to see that aspect of their games come back a little bit more because I think the Heat have done a great job of complementing Giannis and Bam with those shooters. So I'm excited to see that aspect of their game this year.
Did you guys see they remade the "We Got Ray" social media graphic to say "We Got Klay"?
Did.
Thought that was good.
Yeah, very clever stuff for the Miami Heat. So shout out to Klay going to the Heat. First time he'll ever be on an Eastern Conference team in his career. So that'll be fun. But now let's get into our top 10 power forwards list. Now, like I mentioned at the top, this was such a tough list to make. I think it may not be as top heavy as the point guard list because there were just some potential all-time great superstars at the top here. We still have a couple here at the power forward spot, but this might be the deepest position in the league of power forwards. Like, I legitimately felt bad leaving like a couple of these guys off of this list. So I'm very curious to see the variance that we have here on this one. Nick, how did you formulate this list? Has it been the same for all your other lists? What did you value in your list making for the power forwards?
Yeah, I like to think about it from the standpoint of if this guy was in this position, how would he fare comparatively to, like, say, if we're talking about Donovan Mitchell and Anthony Edwards. That's really not a good one because they're both neck and neck. But I think you get what I'm trying to say. Like, if X point guard was with Y team, then would they be more impactful than this guy? And that, if the answer is yes, I may think about putting him above him, even though this guy was on the winning team and made an impact on winning. I think like this guy might have been able to do it better than him.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. All right, well, let's get into this, man. I don't even know. Let's start with I'll say Joey's. I have Joey's list. His number 10 already was shocking me with this because I have this guy a lot higher on my list as Jalen Johnson at number 10.
Yeah, I also have Jalen Johnson a little bit higher on mine.
Wow.
Ben?
He's a little higher than 10.
Yeah, I was I'm interested. I'm gonna have to ask Joey why he had Jalen Johnson so low on his list because I mean he had a great season last year, so I have him higher. So we'll talk about him a little bit more when we get to that, I guess. But Ben, who's your number 10?
I had OG Anunoby at 10. Yeah, it was hard not to really put him on this list because of the playoffs last year. I mean, he was just phenomenal. I mean, the regular season was good. No, nothing too crazy, but the playoffs, he really stepped it up. He was a big part of the Knicks championship run, and my goodness, I'm going to remember that tipping forever. That was incredible. Watching that live at your house, and Joey was there too for that at Miles' place. And man, that tipping, unbelievable play, and a 33-point game in that game for too. Like he had the game of his life in that game, and had other big scoring games too in the playoffs where he had 29, 28, somewhere around that some games. So. And his defense is pretty good. So, yeah, he's deserving to just get on this list to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I actually had him a spot higher because I think his playoffs was incredible. I mean, in the playoffs, he averaged 20 points per game, shooting 56% from the field, 49% from three, 85% at the free throw line. And his offense isn't even his best ability because he can guard 1 through 5 on defense. So, like, I think he's a fantastic player who had the playoffs of his life and the finals of his life. I mean, he was out there guarding Wemby at times, going right at him, going through him, dunking on him at times, and then hitting step back mid-rangers, step back threes, game-winning tip-ins in the final. I think he had a superb season for the Knicks, and I mean, like, he nearly won Finals MVP like for them. So I definitely had to have him on my list at number 9. My number 10, I had Chet Holmgren. I had him just making my list. I know the conference finals left a sour taste in our mouth because, he kind of withered against Wemby. But I'm not going to let that completely ruin his case for making this list because he took that jump on the offensive end during the regular season and the first 2 rounds of the playoffs while continuing to anchor the best defense in the NBA and the best record in the NBA during the regular season. So he made my list at number 10. Definitely hope that he can overcome the alien demons in coming years because I think that'll be the biggest question about the Thunder these next few years.
Yeah, like you guys said, there was a lot of guys on this in consideration. I think OG was like the second or third I had left off the list.
Mm-hmm.
Not quite making my list, but everybody's sort of outside the top 5 or 6 here, all the way down to like 13, 14, 15. I mean, it's pretty crowded space here in the power forward position in the league right now. So no disrespect to OG, but at number 10, I have our hometown power forward, Evan Mobley, at number 10 for me.
Ah, interesting.
And I actually have Chet a spot higher at number 9.
Joey has Holmgren at number 9 too.
Yeah, Evan, I mean, I just feel like you could plug Chet, Paolo, I mean, even maybe OG into that Cavs roster and you would get more production than what Evan's currently been giving like the last couple of years. Been waiting for him to average more than 20 points and like 11 rebounds, and he's just sort of not able to take that next step. Like if he's able to get to 25 points and 11 or 12 rebounds a game, then we can talk about him being, in the Pascal Siakam, Bam Adebayo range, but he's, for me, just not there yet. And I think this is where he deserves to be, is number 10.
Interesting. Well, I'll get to him. Joey and I both have him at the same spot, a few spots higher. So we'll get Ben. You have him on your list a little higher.
Yeah, he's a little higher on my list.
I guess we'll get to him a little bit more. I can understand that he had a underwhelming season per expectations because we were all expecting like a lot from him last year, but still think he had a solid year. But we'll get to that when we get to that. So Nick, Joey, Holmgren at number 9. I have OG at my number 9. So Ben, who's your number 9?
I had Anthony Davis at number 9. I think AD, well, he's pretty talented when he is healthy, but I mean, there's question marks like how productive will he be and how much could he be towards winning in the Wizards, like in the Mavericks. I mean, I give him some grace. He was put in a tough spot, but it's tough for Anthony Davis. He's not the best now. Well, it's been tough of him with durability, and he's had injuries and points per game. Like just recently when he's played for Dallas, hasn't been anything too crazy. But once again, he was in a tough spot. I think he can bounce back some more. And Washington, when he's healthy, he can still play at a high level. I just don't think he's as good as what he used to be, but still pretty talented player.
I'm so glad you did this, Ben. I was heavily considering putting him this low because he I still have him a little bit higher, but I definitely agree. I mean, I don't really feel good about Anthony Davis at this point because of the durability, and even when he played, like we all had immense, not immense expectations for Dallas last year, but a lot better than what it ended up being. We all said that they were the deepest team in the NBA, and Anthony Davis was the best player and the anchor on both ends of the floor that was going to allow them to be a play-in team and potentially, if Kyrie came back, maybe be a contender. And they were awful from the jump, and he was available at the beginning of the season through that awful start, and obviously getting older as well. So I agree with you, but I don't really feel that good about Anthony Davis right now, but I still have him a little bit higher.
I have him a lot of bit
higher.
I have a lot of bit higher.
Joey does as well.
Okay.
I guess it'll all even out at the end. My number 8 is where I have Paolo Banchero.
I also have Paolo at 8.
All right. Yeah, Paolo, I think it's a kind of a similar thing. Like, it feels like all these guys, like, it's like, besides OG, who I thought completely maximized how great he was throughout the season, I think these lower end guys were kind of like, yeah, they were good, but they left kind of a sour taste, at near the end with their seasons. And we had a lot of expectations for the Magic going into the season, and he was injured at different times as well, but he just wasn't as efficient. He hasn't really taken that jump that we expected after his terrific second year in the league. The Magic still haven't won a playoff series. Joey, clearly the lowest. Joey didn't even have him on the list. He was one of his omissions on the list. But I still gave him some love because, I mean, Paolo had some big time playoff games last year. The Magic were up 3-1 on the Pistons. We talked about it with our small forwards. Like, maybe if Franz Wagner didn't get hurt for the end of the series, maybe they win the series. Maybe they're in the conference finals as the 8th seed. Like, who knows what could have happened in that situation. But, I still have him at number 8. Nick, you do as well. Ben, who's your number 8?
I have Jalen Johnson at number 8. Last year, I mean, regular season numbers were, pretty good. 22 half points, 10 rebounds, 7.9 assists. So, he really did some different things well for them. Defensively, he's okay. He's not the best there, but last year, in the regular season, he helped elevate the Hawks in the playoffs. He was decent, but he didn't impress me too much overall in the Knicks series. But still, he's a pretty good player to me, and he's taken a nice improvement, I would say, during last season, which helped him.
Yeah, I still, like I was saying with Joey, I still have him higher myself. I think he just was really impressed. 22, 11, and 8, or close to that this season, or 22, 10, and 8 on 49 from the field. Only missed 10 games throughout the season, and he was the best player for a Hawks team that was one of the hottest teams in the league the second half of the season, and was the most competitive with the Knicks in the Eastern Conference in the playoffs last year. So I gave him a lot of praise for the season he had last year.
Yeah, I have him higher as well.
Joey's number 8 was Jaren Jackson Jr. Did you guys have Jaren on your list?
Oh, yeah. He just missed my list, but I think he's pretty good. That's interesting.
Yeah, we'll talk about Jaren a little bit since Joey had him on his list. Obviously, talented defensive player. I'm very excited to see what he does in Utah this year because I'm so excited to see what that team can do. But again, there are just some things with his game that there's no way he should only be putting up 4, 5, 6 rebounds a game. That's kind of where I just get it, with him. At least some of these other guys, we'll get into Evan Mobley. Sometimes they have rebounding deficiencies, but you don't see 4 rebounds a game, or 5 rebounds a game. I think that's something that's going to need to be fixed for him going forward.
I have a honorable mention because I feel like we've crossed the threshold where he's not going to make anybody's list.
Really? We'll find out what player.
He'll be on it next year, I think.
Okay.
Buzelis.
Oh yeah, he didn't sniff the list for me.
Well,
Yeah, he was like my fourth or fifth off, but after we went Jaren, OG, those were like the first two guys I had off. Gordon was up there as well, but Buzelis is right in the mix.
Interesting.
That's the good honorable mention, actually, Nick. I like it. He did just crack. I went up to like 15 players, but I put him at like 13. I think he's like a talented guy. I mean, the Bulls like start winning more next year. Maybe he does crack this top 10 to future, but I guess should I get into my 7 now?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll just say Buzelis to me. I mean, I think it's got to lead to some winning, or the numbers have to be higher for me to think of him as being better already than guys like, honestly, Julius Randle, who still put up 20 plus for a playoff team. Tobias Harris, even, who was just the second best player for the number 1 seed in the East Pistons in the play. I think he's definitely an exciting player, and I'm excited to see the third year jump should be big for him, and the Bulls should be fun to watch. But I think he's still got some room to grow, but definitely exciting to watch. Ben, now, who's your number 7?
I have Evan Mobley at number 7. Overall.
So do I. So does Joey.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Okay. Yeah, Mobley, he's, still a great defensive player. He, like, good on the offense, man. I'm hoping somehow become, like, dominant there more often. That could help the kids and make even more of a leap, possibly, but he's pretty talented, and he valued highly by teams. I mean, the Cavs have always, highly believed in him, and he's pretty impactful usually, and he, I mean, it's helped the Cavs since he's been drafted there to getting back to more so winning a good amount of games, which has been cool. And so, yeah, but I like him all around. I hope he does more. Hopefully, does special stuff. If someone gets even better, we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, again, like I said earlier, like, I think he had immense expectations on him last year after, Defensive Player of the Year, All NBA second team. And just because he didn't, like, become a superstar player, I don't think means that he's a bad player. I think he was about the same player that he was, that the previous year, maybe a little bit worse. But I thought he became a better player in the playoffs. He became a better playoff player out of the short roll. He was a much better playmaker. I thought that, honestly, he was probably the most consistent Cav in the playoffs. I felt like you knew what you were going to get a lot of the times, from him. And he made some big shots throughout the playoffs that helped the Cavs get to the conference finals. I know it was a game they lost, but game 6 against Toronto, he had made a clutch corner 3 and then a layup to force that game into overtime. But the big one was the game 5 at Detroit, where they hadn't won a road game yet in the playoffs. Series tied at 2 games apiece. Ben, you were at my place watching the game. Cavs are down 9 with like 2 minutes to go, and Mobley gets a dunk, a top of the key 3, and 2 free throws to tie the game and get that to overtime, where the Cavs eventually win the game. So I think that although he didn't take that jump, I think he did improve slightly because of that extra playoff experience. But you're absolutely right, Ben. It's what we've been saying. I think there has to be another jump there. Nick, I agree with you. He's got to do more. And we've said it the whole time. If the Cavs will go as far as Evan Mobley really can take them, because we've been talking about the Cavs like with this Peyton Watson trade. Like I think that they still should be in the mix to be a top 4 seed in the East. But if Evan Mobley takes the jump to become a superstar caliber player that he definitely could be, then it changes everything. So for the Cavs, it comes down to Evan Mobley. But even if he still is this, I think he still is around this area of a player.
Yeah. I think you're right. He's definitely becoming more polished as he grows. He's just not becoming aggressive and impactful.
Yeah.
At number 7, I have Scotty Barnes. Scotty.
Wow. All right, Scotty B.
Oh, wait. Yeah, 7. Yeah, 7.
Yeah, we're at 7.
Wow, 7. Okay.
Ben, you got him higher?
Yeah, he's definitely higher.
Yeah, same for me as well. Joey has him at 6, just one spot higher.
Miles, where do you have Jalen Johnson?
Higher. I have him a little bit higher. 6 is where I have Anthony Davis. I have AD here. I have AD here at number 6 because again, I've just we can only hold on to the years from 2020, 2023 for so long. Like right now, we are a few years removed from him being, a super duper great player. He's not very durable. Since they won the championship, he's only played more than 60 games one time. Like he's not reliable out there. Again, we had a lot of expectations for Dallas last year, and it was just very disappointing. And with his game, like he's already not the quickest big out there. Defensively, he's going to be a little bit more slow-footed. He's a little more out of shape because of the time that he's missed. And I think he's still a very solid player. I think that I'm excited to see how he plays for the Wizards this year. I'm still unclear on how to feel about where they'll be in the Eastern Conference, but for him individually as a player, he's got to prove to me that he can play 50, 60 games and actually impact winning again before he is noted as a superstar player still, in my opinion.
Ben, who you got at 6?
Yeah, I have Pascal Siakam at number 6. Really good. Well, he's always been a great player. Won championship a while with Toronto. Last year, he had the Pacers. Well, it wasn't a great year. They were tanking, but he still put up 24 points per game. Still had a pretty good scoring season. Still was an all-star, and he's usually a guy that could play consistently well for you. That was a big part. Like when the Pacers went on that big run and made it to the finals, we could count on him to, average around 20 points per game, something like that for you. And been, great second option before. He could play well number 1 when he's had to, though. I mean, didn't win as much as the number 1 option, but still was pretty good. And yeah, I mean, I gotta respect his consistency.
Yeah, I have him one spot higher at number 5. I agree. I mean, of course, this last year when the Pacers at the bottom of the Eastern Conference because of injuries and them tanking and all that, but I Siakam had an all-star season. I gave him a lot of credit for still giving his effort every single night, even though they were not really looking to win. I think he still had a very good year, and there's no reason to think that he's not going to have the similar impact this year for the Pacers when they get Halliburton back and they'll be back competitive in the Eastern Conference.
Okay, my number 6.
Yes,
this is where I put Jalen Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean 22, 10, and 8 is incredible. Ben, he does play very good defense. He's a terrific defender. That was what he kind of was before he emerged as this offensive playmaker and scorer as well. he was just a freak athlete. He could get rebounds and play defense, but not saying he didn't know how to play that. Now he's a very good offensive player as well. So I do think he's inching towards that top 5 at his position right now. I have him just outside of that, but this is one of the more stacked positions in the league, and yeah, he's definitely right on the cusp there.
Yeah, I actually I have him a little bit higher too. I guess I'm the highest on him here on the podcast, which I wasn't expecting coming into this. Ben, who's your number 5?
I Bam at number 5. Bam.
Me too.
Yeah. Bam. Um. Well, he's a great defensive player, and I mean, I can't believe he scored 83 points in the game last season against the Wizards. Wow, Washington. But, I mean, scoring 83 points in any game is unbelievable. And, yeah, I mean, he's a good offensive player. I think, he's worked that well, second best guy in a winning team before. So, like, with Jimmy Butler used to be there now with Giannis coming in. I think he's going to have a big year with Giannis there. And I think he's still a great player that can impact winning.
Yeah, Ben, you have him at 5. Joey had him at number 5. I guess this is my first shocker of all these lists. I didn't have Bam on my list.
Ooh,
Wow.
Miles,
I did
explain
not.
that.
Wow.
I just don't think he really had a very good year last year. Besides the 83-point game, which obviously was incredible. I mean, I never expected that to happen in a while. But the things that we've known Bam to be for the last several years, to me, like the things you guys are saying, to me, they weren't really there last year. Like he's been an impactful defender. They were not a good defensive team last year, and the second half of the season, or the last like 20 games of the season, when the Heat needed to perform well to make the play in and be in a better spot in the play-in, they had the 3rd worst defense in the league down there with the Jazz, the tanking teams like the Grizzlies with a bunch of G Leaguers, the Kings, the Nets, like all these teams. So the defense to me wasn't really there. His block shots was the lowest since he's become a starter. The assists were the lowest that it's been since he's become a starter. And the efficiency, he shot just 44% from the field, his worst from the field, his worst from 2, his worst from 3. And looking at his shot chart, it just felt like to me he was taking a whole lot more floaters and jump shots. And I'll show you guys this because I was curious when looking at it because I saw the efficiency numbers and I was a bit surprised by this. This is Bam Adebayo's shot chart this year. All of the red spots are they're hugely lower than league average. He shot below league average from every area on the court, except like this spot right here where he didn't really shoot a whole lot of them at all. So I just think he didn't have an efficient year. He didn't have a good defensive year. His impact was just not there as compared to other years. And to me, if he was a great defensive player, then a great defensive player, especially when you're a big guy, elevates your team to be a good defensive team no matter who else is out there. And that just wasn't even the case, even though they also had Davion Mitchell and Andrew Wiggins and Eric Spoelstra leading the way. I think he's going to have a lot better of a year this year because Giannis is there. But I just think last year was just not an impactful season for Bam compared to every single other one of these players.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's a good alibi. That's a good reasoning, good thought. I mean, logic is there. I would just say, like, I would go back to my reasoning at the beginning of the pod. Like, if he's on the Magic, I feel like that they're elevated more than Paolo has them. Or if he's, in Scotty's role, I feel like the Raptors might be stronger too. That one's less for sure. Definitely the Magic one. But, no, I mean, definitely valid argument that I feel like I was going to say this about Bam. Like, I feel like he kind of missed his own prime. Because I feel like.
Really?
I mean, Like, I feel like I was watching him
Yeah.
on Team USA, and I was like, oh man, this dude is like swatting, he's dunking, he's catching lobs, he's rolling to the rim, he's slashing, like he's defending the ball. I'm like, is it like a mini Giannis? Was my first initial impression of Bam Adebayo, and it feels like he has like done all the things you said, Miles, like gotten progressively worse in the last season or two.
Yeah, and I'm wondering if some of that is because Jimmy Butler,
Yeah,
that whole situation happened, and he's had to be the number one guy. And look, he's not a number one sort of player, and that's okay. That's okay. We're seeing that right now. But I just
yeah,
think, like, if this was Bam from a couple of years ago, I'd agree with what you're saying. But with the shots Bam was taking last year, like, why is Bam Adebayo taking 5.5 threes a game when he's shooting 32% from three? Like, to me, offensively, he was trying to play like a 7-foot shooting guard out there instead of a center. Like, again, what other center is shooting below league average everywhere on the court? Like, that to me is just not. I think Paolo had 45 and 38 in game 5 and 7 of the first round last year. Scotty Barnes offensively nearly beat the Cavs in the first round of the playoffs. I just don't think with what Bam was doing last year, I just don't think he was going to do that last year. I really was not impressed by what he did last year. And we'll see. I think he's going to bounce back next year. But for me, kind of basing it off of last year and having to pick hairs amongst these other players,
yeah,
I couldn't put him above Chet, who anchored the best defense in the league on a 64-win team. OG, who nearly won Finals MVP because of his elite play on both ends of the floor. But literally everyone else, like the other guy I was thinking was him and Anthony Davis. But I thought it'd be crazy if he wasn't on the list either. I had him nearly in the same spot as Ben. So I guess that's my reasoning. I'm sticking to it, but I can't. Bam is a talented player. I just don't think he had a very good season last year.
Another thing with these lists is like you don't want to look dumb, so you kind of like project the most optimistic view a lot of times so that like if he hits that, then you're not like, oh, I didn't have him on my list, you know what I mean? But Miles, you're obviously not afraid to go off the stand on the edge of the diving board.
Go off the beaten path. Yeah. Well, because my thing is I think Bam is going to have a season near this realm this upcoming season. But on August 22nd, 2026, off of last season, he did not have a better season than these other players. The only one comparable was Anthony Davis because he played more. And maybe, like, I just don't even think so, besides the 83-point game. But even a lot of that was him jacking up shots like a shooting guard. He wasn't even efficient that game either. So I just don't, I just think in this moment, I don't think he makes the list. But I think he definitely should be on the list. I think me not having him on the list speaks to the season he had last year. There's no way he shouldn't be on the list. But,
gotcha.
Number 4 is where I have Jalen Johnson. I had him up here just because, again, I think he can do everything on the court. I mean, he's a point forward, again, 22, 10, and 8. Second half of the season, was the number 1 player on a Hawks team that finished the season like 16 and 4. And again, like I've talked about this before when talking about the Hawks, like if the Celtics didn't win that final game with Luka Garza and all them beating the healthy Orlando Magic, and the Hawks play the Cavs in the first round instead, and they play the Pistons in the second round instead of the Knicks in the first round, maybe the Hawks are in the conference finals and the 6-game series happens in the conference finals. And we look at the Hawks and Jalen Johnson a whole lot differently. They just happened to play the Knicks in round 1 instead of round 3.
Yeah. That's a very good point. There's an alternate universe where he's the top 3 on this list for sure.
Yeah, so that's why I have him at number 4, but can't be mad at you guys having him any lower as well. Joey had Pascal Siakam at number 4.
I had Spicy P there too.
There we go. Anything you guys want to add on Siakam?
Yeah, I will say there are players who like play off of players and like that's their game, and then there's players who like control all other 9 guys or like have a sense of what's going on and where each 9 guys are going, like what direction they're going, where their next 2 steps are, like inside every guy's head Like Siakam plays that sort of style. Like he's just commanding every time he takes the court.
Yeah, you definitely feel his presence every time he's out there. That's someone who you're getting, what you're getting every single night. Ben, who's your number 4?
Yeah, I had Paolo at number 4.
Oh wow!
Mainly, I mean, because regular seasons he's been good, like not like crazy good, but I mean the playoffs. I mean, yeah, tough. They haven't made out of the first round, but he's elevated in the playoffs and has had some big scoring games. Like we saw, 45 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Fortunately, I mean, the Magic still didn't win that game, but I mean, he's had, you know, he had 38 last year in the playoffs, and like I mean, pre his playoffs before he like in the Cab series a few years ago, um last year when they played the Celtics, still he had multiple like 30 plus point playoff games, so he elevates his play there, and I think a bit of it is I think he's just still a super talented player, and if he can stay healthy this year, and I think just with Sean Sweeney being there, he has the potential to where this could possibly be his best season he's had yet. But we'll have to see what happens, and the East is loaded, so it won't be easy, but they'll be in the mix, of course.
Yeah, I'm glad you put him high because of him being a playoff riser, because he is totally a playoff riser throughout his career. It doesn't get talked about a whole lot, but he has been incredible. In 19 playoff games he's played in, he averages 27 points per game, 9 rebounds, 5 assists. This is a guy that throughout the regular seasons, he's not really that efficient from the perimeter, but he shoots 38% from 3 in the playoffs, which is good, 44% from the field on high volume. And already he's ranks in the top 5 of the league in active players of points per game in the playoffs. He's only below Luka, Durant, LeBron, Donovan Mitchell, and Devin Booker, tied with Jokic for playoff points per game. That's pretty good. So,
Yeah.
hoping that they can take a leap forward next year.
Yeah.
Are we on to our top 3?
We are on to the top 3. Joey has Anthony
me
Davis.
and Joey have AD.
Yes.
Okay, so let me talk about AD.
Yes,
AD,
go ahead.
Let me try and justify this after an hour and no. I mean, he's still, like I said, I kind of said like the optimal, perspective in building this up because I knew this was coming. But I mean, he's still a 7-footer with a lot of skill who can stretch the floor and guard pretty much anybody in the league. And maybe not shut them down, but definitely stifle them and limit, impactful bigs and even impactful guards on the defensive end. I think he's a very limiting defender still. Yeah, he's a little bit slower, but he's very instinctual. Like he's a very good like awareness ready. Like he makes a lot of the right reads on that end. And I think his impact is very high on that end still, even in his later days, even being out all the time. Like so I still think back to like that half that we saw with Dallas when everything was going right, and I still believe that AD will show up for the Wizards this year. Like I have no reason not to believe that, to be honest with you.
Definitely fair. I mean, that was only like a calendar year, a year and a half ago that happened. So that should still be in there somewhere. Well, we just have to see if they can get it out of him. And of course, we talked about it, like the whole extension talks. We'll see how that goes with him and the Wizards of this year. He just had some rough games too, even when he did play this year. I forgot that he started the season 7 for 22 from the field against the Spurs. He had a 2-point game, a 12-point game. He just had some rough games in there as well. I think just a bad taste for after last season. But the old Anthony Davis he definitely still is in there somewhere. We just have to see if the Wizards can optimize that next year.
Nope.
Ben,
Who
who's
do you
your
guys
number
have?
3?
I had Scotty Barnes at number 3.
So do I.
I am now high of Scotty Barnes. He really took a big leap to me this past season. As offensively looks even better. Played great overall offensively in the Cavs series, and I mean he's been a good defender before, but he became a great defender this past season. It's hard to score on the guy with the length and how athletic he is, and he just he's quite an impactful player. He sometimes can assist good too. To me, I think he's become a guy who could be a great winning player who plays hard over in Toronto.
Yeah, Scotty Barnes is someone that over the last few years there have been some parts of his game that just hadn't really come full circle yet, and I was a little lower on him maybe over the last couple of years, but he won me over this year. With his defense, like you said, he became an elite defensive player this year. He's someone that, depending on the matchup, can guard 1 through 5. And on the other end, he can run your offense, and he has the capability to shoot the ball well from the perimeter as well. Like, I think he is an awesome player, and the only reason he's not higher is because he showed this level for 1 year, and we need to see it a little bit more. But this year I thought was spectacular, being an all-star, all defensive second team, 5th in defensive player of the year. Like, it's just crazy. I mean, in that Cavs series, getting to watch him, up close, I was just blown away by what he was able to do. I mean, in the playoffs, he was averaging 24 points, 6 rebounds, and 8.5 assists per game, shooting 51% from the field, 38% from 3, 80% from the free throw line, 2 blocks a game as well, while also guarding Donovan Mitchell and James Harden. There's not a whole lot of players in the league that you can ask to do that sort of thing, completely run all aspects of your offense and try to guard an all-star backcourt and do a pretty decent enough job to where the Raptors nearly won the series. So I think he's a super impressive player. I'm hoping the Kawhi trade does end up going through, because I think Scotty, I've compared him to being a Kawhi Leonard type of player who can pass the ball really well. I think he can really, showcase that potential this year. And the Raptors, I think, are going to be in for a very special year. And it's because of this guy being the face of their franchise.
Where did Joey have him?
6.
I had him 7, so he's going to end up like 4th.
Yeah, that's the good thing about doing these lists. Everything will average out, in their own ways.
Yeah.
But luckily, it sounds like we have the same top 2 guys here for our power forward spot. Hopefully, well, I don't know. Maybe we'll get some Jeff Green love in here. I don't know. Ben, who's your number 2?
I have Tatum at number 2.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Should be consensus.
Yes, it is.
Consensus cool. Tatum, he was good coming off the injury, but tough towards the end of last year to get it. But I think, now with a full off season, him being healthy will just be big for him. But trying to bounce back coming up this year, and definitely the number 1 guy now there going into this year is no more Jaylen Brown. So I think he's due for a huge season. We'll have a big scoring load on him, but I think, good defender. He's just an all around, when he's healthy, phenomenal player. And I believe, he'll look like, what he sort of used to be, a few years ago, even still, coming off, the ACL thing this year. So I think the Celtics will still, in the regular season, win a good amount of games.
Yeah, I mean, we should just say like it's incredible that he even came back, to play, the at the level that he did end up playing. Of course, the efficiency wasn't really there, but was still really solid. I was impressed that he was able to come back and become a rebounding demon. Like I was not expecting that at all for him to be a 10 rebound per game
Yeah.
guy every single night. Like that was, impressive to see there.
I do think
Yeah.
he'll grow from this.
Oh, lost Nick for a second there, hoping that his phone didn't die there. That's going on for a little while. Oh, excuse me, but no, Ben, I think what you were saying about the Celtics being good in the regular season, like, dude, I think I totally agree. I think what we saw from Jaylen Brown, last year in the regular season, bringing the Celtics up to being, the 2 seed in the Eastern Conference, like. Jason Tatum, we've been saying, like last year, I think was really the first actual year where we were talking about. There's Nick. Last year, I think was the first year where we were actually seriously considering, like, is Jaylen Brown better than Jason Tatum? But besides that, I feel like Tatum has been the better player than Jaylen Brown. And heading into the season, why can't Jason Tatum do what Jaylen Brown was doing last year and more? And in the regular season, the Celtics still win somewhere between 50 to 54 games. Like, I feel like that's not out of the realm of possibility. And Tatum should be taking all this talk about Jaylen Brown, very personally, because I feel like none of us are really, a lot of people are not really talking about Tatum and how good he is and how good he will be next year.
Got a chip on his shoulder, that's for sure. Like I said, I got cut off in the middle of what I was saying, but I think this is going to be a good thing for him to go through, like having the horrible injury happen and then having to rebuild the mindset. You have to like reinvent your whole identity after something like that and confirm that you are who you believe you are. And when you go through something like that and are given an opportunity like this to like take over your team, this is a kid who went to the best basketball school in the world and Duke University and played for Coach K and won a championship ring at something like 25 or 26 or 28 years old, I think.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited for him to have this runway in Boston this year.
Yeah, totally. I like that, the chip on the shoulder. I definitely agree with that one. Number one, we got Giannis, the Greek freak for sure. Still an incredible player. Last year because of the whole Bucks situation and his nagging injuries, which is I think still is something to watch for because he does seem to get a bunch of nagging calf and leg injuries now. But when he plays, he's still phenomenal. Like he averaged 29 minutes a game last year, basically a career low. Put up 28, 10, and 5, still 62% from the field. He's still unbelievable. Him on Miami this year is definitely going to – I mean, it's the biggest transaction in the summer as far as the best player moved this offseason. And he still is a phenomenal basketball player. I'm excited to see him back in a situation where there's going to be some hope this year in Miami because it didn't really feel like that the last year or so in Milwaukee.
Yeah, I think Spo's going to have some fun working that magic on the clipboard to get Giannis rolling to the basket. They're going to see him roll into the basket a lot, I think.
Yeah, that I would totally agree. Ben, you have anything on the Greek freak?
Yeah, I'm excited to see him be in a better winning situation, and I believe he could hopefully still be a dominant player. Why I got him at number one? Still Giannis, and I think he can, get back to doing more winning, win more games of the Bucks, fitting the tougher last few years he had in Milwaukee, of course.
Yeah, definitely. Love some Giannis Antetokounmpo. But that's our top 10 power forwards list. Definitely a fun one. Yes, there's Nick's list. Excited to see what all the averages come out to be. Make sure to check out our Instagram at the Runnin the Paint podcast to see what it all comes out to be. Definitely a fun one. I guess the trend of someone having a crazy thing on these lists has continued. We've had, I guess the Dylan Harper with Ben, BJ Edgecombe with Joey and Nick. A small forward, there was a lot. I guess maybe Dylan Brooks for Ben, but Bam for me at the power forward. I think I could see as being the most shocking thing of all the lists. I'm excited to see what comes with the center list, because center is super deep too, with a lot of very good players there. So excited to see what we got on that list as well.
One more list next time, should be fun.
Yes, and hopefully
Yeah.
we will all be back on. Well, I think just scheduling things have been a little bit crazy. Hopefully we'll be back on the regular Tuesday, Friday schedule here for the pod as we get closer to right after our top 10 centers, our top 50 players list, and then finally getting to preview all the divisions and the teams, and finally getting to really talk in depth about all these teams. So definitely an exciting time of year, but that's going to do it for us here. You guys have anything else before we get out of here?
No, sir. Thanks for watching.
No.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, leave a like, subscribe for more NBA content. Hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Peace.